Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hey listeners, it's your host of Local Business Hacks, Carl Case, joined today by serial entrepreneur and VP of Sales and Marketing for Farrell's Extreme Bodyshaping, Erik Russell. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Thanks. Well, obviously you don't become a overnight sensation of owning 11 companies and being the VP of a very progressively growing fitness brand. How did you get here?
Oh, wow. That's how long's the podcast? I forget. No. You know what it is? I've been this guy who's been like a tinkerer, doer, implementer my whole life. You have a business idea, it's like, let me just go try it. Being an entrepreneur, you're going to fail multiple times. I don't care how great a start you got, who you know, how much money, you're going to fail. There's going to be things that fail, period. That's how it works. But being able to tinker with that and to play with it and to develop it, you learn some things through those failures, and you learn, okay, this didn't work in this particular business. It might work in another business, but you never forget those lessons. And so as you go and as you grow, you can now apply those lessons to business, and there's opportunity everywhere. And you develop I happen to develop a specific skill in membership sales of all things. People are talking about niching down in 2020 and beyond. I was doing this back in the day. I didn't know. I was like, that's just who I know. So that's who I'm selling to, right? People who sell memberships. Imagine that conversation. I'm going to write a book and I'm only going to target people who sell memberships, right? Like the salespeople out there in the clubs are really looking to buy courses and all this stuff. So anyway, you start to play with things and you start to figure out, you know what, this works, and this works fundamentally. And when you start to figure out some things that work fundamentally in business, then you can start doing it in a lot of different areas. And so that's how I started getting in different industries. Fitness is my main one. That's why Farrell's, and we've got 55 locations now, and we're adding more and growing that business. I have a hitting instruction business that has 2 locations. The third is going to be opening in March. That's a franchise as well. I have software companies, and all of these ideas and all these things that I've tried in the past and worked through in the past are applied to those businesses. So that's how I got here, kind of like a real general overview, I guess, of how I got where I'm at. And then when you improve those businesses, there's opportunities for you to become owner, and there's just a lot of those. I turn down offers for me to come in and to own a piece of a business. Mainly, I turn those down because of the work that's involved in it as well, because they want you to come on as VP of marketing and sales, as an example. And so you can only do that in so many companies, but there's a lot of opportunity for that. So yeah, that's where I come from. That's kind of like my background and how I ended up here with all these companies and doing all these different things.
Well, congratulations, Erik.
Thanks.
A pleasure to have you. Speaking real quick on Farrell. So today FXB is at 55 locations. How can people get involved with the brand, whether from a franchisee perspective, a consumer perspective? What's the best way for people to get involved?
Well, there's a few ways to get involved. One is through actually working out at one of our studios. That's the best way to get involved, because then you get a chance to really experience what we're about, and the culture and the vibe and the community and the results too. I mean, the results are amazing, but that's way number one. And then the second thing is there's the business opportunity to actually open a Farrell's location. And that is another way. So you could literally do one or the other, or do both as it relates to Farrell's. On the business side of it, it really, I think one thing is the program at Farrell's is phenomenal. You're going to get the sessions and how to get results for people and all that good stuff. So that's like amazing. What we want and what we're looking for are business-minded people who can follow that process. That's it. So it's interesting when you look at franchising because you think, I'm looking for entrepreneurs, right? That's what I thought until I got involved in That's not what you're looking for. Because the entrepreneur is going to tell you every way you're doing it wrong, every way you need to fix it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the franchisee you want. You want the franchisee who has some business sense, understands, what it takes to be successful. And that's a key thing. Putting a sign up doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Getting a brand doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Are they willing to do what it takes is what I said. Sure. Meaning, are they going to go do the footwork? Are they going to go meet with people in their community? Are they going to meet with other businesses? Are they going to do whatever it takes? Are they going to shout on top of buildings if they have to get people to come to their studio? Right? That's the kind of mentality you want to have with a franchisee who's coming into the fold. Somebody who's really is passionate about the brand and about what we can do for people, but really is a go-getter and wants to be a business person, but doesn't want to develop the system, just literally wants to plug and play. If that's you listening right now, that's going to franchising. If you're an entrepreneur and you got ideas and you want to implement them, go another way, to start something. Don't go into franchising though, because you're going to hate it. You got to want to follow a system with this.
Long story short, either way, go to FXB's location to try it first, because if you're not passionate about it, the drive will probably lose out.
Yeah.
Second, for anybody that's looking to continue with their business in franchising, get a franchisee and make sure that it's something that you can't teach. Hire things that you can't teach always. You can't teach personality. You can't teach drive. You can teach processes and these things all day long.
Right.
That's how we've both been able to scale our companies to the point that they're at.
That's it. That's it.
Awesome. So, Erik, going back to, what the purpose of this podcast, Local Business Hacks, is, obviously we try to teach serial entrepreneurs like yourself and people mainly in health, wellness, and recovery space about what are things that you wish that you knew early on, or things that maybe you paid the idiot tax on that you'd hate for other people to do.
Yeah.
Really, what are those stories that taught you that? Because we always learn lessons, but it's not really the lesson that we ever think back to that we learned. It's how we learned it and where did we mess up? What relationship did we bust and things like that. So the floor is yours. I can imagine you got some stories for us.
Well, can you be a little more specific?
Yeah. So think of something that ultimately taught you a lesson. So a story that you're like, wow, I learned on this day this because of this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Man, I'm about to be 48 years old. Okay. You know how many lessons I've learned in that time? Like it's funny. When I was 20, I knew everything. I had already learned it all. And now when I sit back and look at how stupid I was when I was 20, it's like, wow, I didn't even have a clue I was that dumb and didn't know what I was doing. But the lessons, man, there's a bunch of them. I mean, I think I'll tell you the bottom line deal as it relates to what we all want, and that's some level of success. Everybody's got a different definition for it. Some it's money, some it's lifestyle, some it's whatever. But I will say this. It's about perseverance, and it's about continuing to keep going. Like I said in the front part of this, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have things that are going to be difficult, sometimes so difficult, you'll wonder how you're even going to get through it. I've been through this multiple times, and it's interesting when I see another small business going through this, because I do a lot of coaching for small businesses with all these businesses that I have. A lot of them deal and help people get involved in owning their own business in one way, shape, or form. So I get this a lot. And the thing is, it's going to be a challenge. But when I see somebody going through that tough time, they're like, I don't know how I'm ever gonna ever overcome this. And I just remember, like, man, I remember that. And I hate that feeling, by the way. That feeling sucks so bad, because you really don't know. You don't know if it's gonna work. Like, I've had scenarios. One of my studios, prior to Farrell's, I owned 5 gyms of my own. I had my own 5 locations. One of those locations, the general manager decided he was going to compete with me and opened his own gym. That's all fine and good. I'm not against competition. But what he decided to do was he decided to tell everybody who was a member that we were moving.
Nice.
And he took like my whole gym. And I'm telling you, I was like devastated at first. And I'm like, how am I going to sue this guy? How am I going to do this, do that? And I just said, you know what? I'd spend all this money doing that, or I could kick this guy's ass. And that's what I focused on. And everybody at my gym, I said, if you want to go, go. I'm not even going to hold you to your agreement. I'm going to replace everybody who's in here. And I did. And I was better than I was before that. And that guy's not in business anymore. And that gym is still going to this day. I sold it to somebody else and they're still running it. So long story short, that particular situation was very devastating to me. I thought that was a third of my business at the time. And actually it was more than that because it was a more successful location. But I thought that was the end of the world. Everything was falling out the bottom. This guy was a popular general manager and he wanted his own thing. And what I'm getting at is there's going to be tough things that you go through and you got to keep going. You will question what you're doing. I've looked in the mirror at myself before and I said, why do you do this? Why are you in business for yourself? You are crazy, dude. Like you could make so much more money working for somebody else. And then you have a breakthrough. But you will not have that breakthrough without that thing, that looking in the freaking mirror and going, damn, this is hard. You know? And that's a big deal. Because you will figure things out. You're just going to adjust and you're going to figure things out if you just keep going, no matter what. Lose all your money, keep going. I've been there. You name it. The struggle and the entrepreneur journey, I've done it and still doing it. So that's a big thing, though. You will give up on yourself way too soon. Way too soon. I've been right at the brink a few times myself, so I know this. And I see people doing it. But keep it going. Keep going. You'll figure it out. You'll get better. And maybe the business that you're in now isn't the business that you're going to eventually be in when it's all said and done.
Take the challenges as opportunities to grow.
Yeah. And just don't stop. Even if you don't know if you're growing or you don't know how you're gonna learn from it or how you're gonna overcome, just keep going.
Yep.
You'll figure it out.
So Erik, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. A title that you wear in numerous companies is head of sales and marketing, which I think if we look at the two issues that every business has, it's customers and employees. And I don't think that enough brands focus on the marketing aspect from the employee retention side. Your brand and your marketing and your exposure to the world is the most important thing that you can have nowadays. You are a perfect example of a personal brand. For those of you that don't know Erik, check out his website, erikrussell.com. Just what an amazing personal brand looks like. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks.
I just would love to give you our platform to tell some tips and tricks in regards to, I think now in 2023, we recognize the importance of branding, whether that be personal employee retention or consumer base. But what are some things that you've seen very recent that has shaped the overall success across the board inside of a business when it comes to the things that you oversee on a day-to-day basis?
For me, and this is somewhat recent, for me, a recent realization, I guess. And I don't mean like in the last week, I mean like in the last year or so, which is really new. And it was, as I was building these businesses and as I was getting involved in different things, it was always about what's the offer?
Yep.
Right? Like, how do I get the lead? What's the offer that's going to get them to raise their hand and say they're interested? And yeah, so you focus on the offer and what that is, and we're not getting people to respond to the offer. Well, it might be the image too. So let's check the image out and let's play with that. And so you get into this marketing thing, and it's all about generating this lead. And in the fitness industry, and I've been in this industry for over 30 years now, the offer has not changed. I don't care who's saying what. It has not changed. Yeah, you've added some things to it. Yeah, you said only 20 people can get it, but it has not changed. And so when you look at that, you're like, that's not where it's at. And so for me, when I took over my software company, first thing I did was I improved the experience. I'm still doing that, by the way. I'm 6 months on to improving the experience. But I'll tell you right now, that has done more for our company than any lead would have done. Because what happened? I started improving things and people started noticing, started going, oh my God, this is actually cool now. Where we're going, I'm excited about. And then what happened? I'm going to tell so-and-so. Uh-oh, I'm starting to get leads and I didn't even advertise yet. So here's what I'm going to say about the fitness space. You're going to see my companies do this. And if you're listening, you're going to do it too. You need to lean into the member experience. You need to stop being delusional about people come to you because they're there to get results. When everybody can get results, it's just a matter of degree. But you need to lean into member experience. You need it to be something that people will line up for. You need it to be something that people will tell their friends about happily, willingly. And you need to really break your model and look at it from a new, fresh set of eyes. Not from the fitness space, not from the gym space. I'm talking about how you personally, as an owner, as a business CEO or marketing, but executive, how you could contribute even more than what you're contributing now to your member experience. Yep. When they show up, is it cool? Are they excited for your doors to open? If the answer is no, you've got an opportunity here. And you go, well, we're open every day. So is Athlete's Foot or whatever, Foot Locker, whatever they're called. I don't even know what they're called anymore. These sneaker stores. They sell sneakers every day. But guess what? When that new pair of Nike Air Force Ones comes out, there's a line out the door. Now, those Air Force One, I told you, I'm 48. Those came out when I was in 5th grade. I'm a sneaker guy, so I know this stuff. Okay? And you got kids lining up for these things. There's an experience to it. There's something different about it. There's a magic to it.
Yep.
Chick-fil-A. You ever have a Chick-fil-A open up in your friggin' town? I just had one in my town. It was nuts.
Lines around the corner.
Yeah, dude. All these lines, and someone goes to me, yeah, but they're giving away 100 free sandwiches to the first 100 people. And I go, yeah, but that doesn't explain the last 500 that are in line and for days on end.
The experience. My pleasure.
It gets the vibe going. It gets some magic going around it. You know, and you look at all of the quote unquote most valuable brands on the planet. And what do? Do they beg for customers? Are they saying, please come and train with me? Please come eat my chicken sandwich. Please, will you do that? This week, please come do that. They don't do that.
Never.
I don't even know if they advertise at all, as a matter of fact. What's Apple do? Why do people line up for the new iPhone? Right? There's a vibe to it. There's a magic to it. It's the number one selling item in their category, like unit-wise, and it's the most expensive. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Right? But people will be in line for it because there's a magic to having that new iPhone. And there's even a magic to being in that line, which is weird to me.
Yeah.
But people do it. Here's what I'm getting at. The fitness space hasn't done that in a long time, if ever. There's a couple companies that I know that do that. But we're beggars in this space. We're saying, please come do this. I'll even do it for free. Come and train with me for absolutely free. Because I just need people to come in the door. As opposed to making an experience where they will line up for it. Yep. And I can't say, hey, here's what you need to do. You need to come up with a new iPhone. That's not it.
Right.
I'm saying you need to break what you have in your mind as the model that it should be so that you can figure out a way that you can deliver an experience to your member that is next level, that they will tell everybody about. You ever heard of the brand Equinox?
I have.
Okay, so Equinox has done business with me. So I know about them. They're one of the top 5 largest grossing clubs in the US for people that don't know. Multi-billion-dollar company. If you've ever gone to an Equinox, you will know exactly why they charge what they charge. The feel is different. Everything is about different. Not only that, I don't know if they still do it, but a couple years ago, they used to do this thing where you could go in. I'm sure they still do it because it's so awesome. But there's coolers, and these coolers are filled with towels.
Yeah.
Okay. And these towels are eucalyptus fused towels. It even sounds cool. Come on. Kidding me? It's like 2 cents. You put a couple drops of eucalyptus in some water and you make them cold. Right? But what happens is people work out, they take they get these little towels and they put them on their face. That's worth the membership price alone, man.
Yeah.
That's an example of an experience. There's a designer, Kuwako Black. You ever heard of him? Get him on your radar. He's an architect. I think. I don't even know if he's an architect, but he's an artist. And somehow he creates gyms. He literally designs them. The designs he comes up with are art. They're literal art.
That's awesome.
So when you walk into the facility, there's an experience there. It doesn't look like the hotel gym. I can't even tell you what they look like spaceships sometimes. It just depends on the particular thing. Look him up, Kuwako Black. I love the guy and I love his designs and I love the work that he does. But he is creating an experience from the facility. Now, your facility's an experience, your program's an experience. And by the way, you do got to get results. That result is also an experience. But that doesn't explain why people share your program before they get a result. They share it for something else. So if results are the only thing you got to talk about, you better find some other things because there's more to it. So again, that's a little bit of a rant, maybe a lot of a rant on where we should be going, where I want to see the space go, because I'm in this. I'm sick of the same old stuff. I want us to be innovators in this space and to do something different and to step out. And we've got to take care of those members on the very front lines of this and make it something worth lining up for, make it something worth talking about.
Of course. And just to give some context to people, I have some I'm going to share. I'd love for you to share some as well. Brands that I work with and potentially were members of in the past, like Orange Theory, when I took my 50th class, my 100th class, my 200th class, celebrating those milestones with a member. Then the time that you speak to someone on the phone and now they're coming in for that trial and writing their name on a big board that day or putting their name on a TV, like welcome Jessica to her first class. Those things really celebrate momentous moments for people. And it takes the begging factor away from the gym to the member and rewarding them. So those are two things that I've seen that have been successful that I've been a part of as a consumer. Do you have any ideas like that have helped you and your businesses grow? Yeah,
I mean, one is just paying attention to what they're saying. And sometimes it's kind of simple. My software company. Okay. One thing I know about software as a consumer is customer support sucks for 99% of them. I said, it's not going to suck for us.
Yeah.
No, that's a challenge. And there's a reason it sucks for most of them. It's not easy getting your customer support dialed in. But that piece alone was a big deal. I heard from the customers, hey, we're not getting our support tickets answered. It takes forever to get back to us. So, okay, let me fix that. Let me improve that. Right? But it's, what are they saying? What are they doing? What can you help them with to improve that experience? But going outside of our space, I could give you examples of every single client's ever paid me money to work with, or I take any of my courses or any workshops. There's tons of them that have little things that they do. Like an example is, I don't know if Orange Theory came up with this. I credit them because they're one of the first ones who really I saw doing it a lot. When somebody comes in, they know your name. Yep. They actually address your name. Now, I know some operators were doing it, but I'm saying they were one of the big ones who really was like, hey, this is part of our culture kind of a thing. It didn't matter that your picture came up on the dang screen and they didn't know you, but it felt like they did.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Now, I'm not saying if you start saying everybody's name that you're going to have the same effect. You're not. That's why you got to come, because once it's already done, you're just regurgitating it from somebody else. And the problem is there's too much of regurgitation. It's regurgitation nation around here. You know what I mean? It needs to be, you need to come up with your own unique something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you going to do for somebody? How are you going to help them? What are you going to do? What's the thing? But I'm saying get outside the space. Go to conferences that aren't fitness conferences.
Yep.
The whole industry's hating me right now. They're like, wait, man, I'm trying to get people in my show. What are you doing? But
no, it's true.
I'm not saying don't go to fitness conferences and all that stuff. I'm just saying you got to look outside your space. All your ideas that you're implementing right now, every listener in here who's implementing an idea, I guarantee you it came from somewhere else. And fitness just took it on.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. Come outside the space, find something, or look at how you can improve. What's that one thing that customer needs? Attention. How can I give them more attention?
It's amazing when we observe instead of always doing and firefighting, and bring friends in that are from other industries and say, hey, will you just sit around for a couple hours with me and tell me what you notice? And you get that fifth eye that hasn't seen what you've been looking at for years.
Yep.
It's incredible what you learn.
Well, that was one of the points I was going to make too. So in software, from what I can tell, it just doesn't seem like customer support's that big on the priority list. Whereas in fitness, I'm not saying every company's like that. I'm just saying my experience. Maybe they got tons on customer support, but they just don't have enough to service all the customers, whatever the case may be. Their support sucks. But on the fitness side of it, you can't have that. You can't have terrible customer support and run a good studio. You will lose people like you would believe. So when I come into the software space, I come in with that kind of mentality, and I look at this and they say, well, we've got a lot of things to do. We can't get back to somebody very quickly. That's not the answer. The answer is, how do we still do all our stuff and get back to them? Right?
Yeah.
Because and they're not bad people for thinking that.
Yeah.
But that's how they think. And so now somebody from outside the industry buys a software company and says, hey, here's how our support's going to go. They can message us on Facebook. They can call us. They can email us. They can go on our website and chat. All of those things are available, and they can jump in Discord and message us there. Any way you want to get a hold of us to get your question answered, we will answer it, and we will track it through all those systems. That's the answer.
Just to add to that, obviously, you and I think differently. And my perspective on that would be, why are they asking that question in the first place? Where did our UI UX fail? Where did our software not answer? Where did our onboarding fail? And chances are that if customer A is asking that question, we got another 11,000 behind them that are backlogged asking the exact same question. Right. We didn't provide at the stage that we needed to. But that's when talk about software, God bless our developers and Referrizer 4.0, which is an interface that we all dreamed of, because it took the guesswork out of our clients and out of them saying, where do I go? How do I launch a campaign? How do I do this? How do I not? And it really brought us to a unified center where our customers can answer their own questions. But yeah, Erik, it's amazing. And I agree with you. And I so thank you for this advice. I think that everybody in any industry can benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just experience and what I see. Like, I just know every time you improve the customer thing, look at Amazon. You know what I mean? It's all about the customer experience. Bro, I'm so into Amazon. I don't care that he's spending billions flying rockets and all that. Get out. I even got the credit card, dude. I got the whole thing. Because if I'm always on Amazon, and all my kids and all my family, they got my Amazon account, they order stuff out of it, right? But it's so customer oriented. Everything's about the customer there. And that's how he started the company. You think he was first dude to think about selling books? I mean, dang, he had Barnes and Noble and Walden Books and freaking Books A Million, all these guys. I'm a book guy, so yeah. I used to go to all of them. It kind of bums me out, though, that they're not around anymore. Thanks, Jeff. You better start opening some stores. But he killed it with customer experience. It wasn't you could get every product on the planet back in the day. You remember this? You might not be old enough.
Amazon Go. Amazon Go stores. Have you ever been into one?
Yeah. No, I haven't been into one. Sorry. I know what you're talking about, though.
I went to one in Seattle where one of Amazon's headquarters was, and it was a full-blown grocery store. Yeah, I mean, like the Amazon Go stores in Manhattan are a couple hundred square feet. This thing was a full-blown grocery store, and I felt like I was robbing the place. because your Amazon app is open and you walk out the door. And I'm looking around and the security guard's like, you're good, you're good. And I'm like, I've never done this, but
It's weird, man.
Yeah, he took away the biggest pain point. We could spend 5 minutes shopping and 10 minutes checking out. It's like, why would I want to do that? But yeah, Erik, unfortunately, we're out of time for today, but I want to thank you from us and our listeners all over the globe for being a pioneer in this space.
Well, thanks, man. I don't necessarily consider myself a pioneer, but I'll take it.
I think you should take the title. You're diversified enough to where you're seeing things from different views, and you're in our space, which is always great to see improvements.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate the words, and thanks for having me on here. It was a lot of fun. I hope that your listeners got something out of it. And like I said, man, keep going. Don't stop. Don't quit. Keep it going. You can do it. Just keep going. That's it. And think about who you're serving.
Amen.
Do it above and beyond anybody else, and you'll be fine.
That's what's up. Erik, real quick before we wrap up, aside for your website, how can people get connected with you?
Everywhere. Erik C. Russell, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's all Erik C. Russell.
Awesome.
You can find me there. And jump over on Twitter. I'm all into Twitter now that Elon Musk took it over, and it's all wild over there. I love it.
And that's Erik with a K, Erik. Everybody.
Correct. Yep. Erik with a K and then a C, which really confused people because that's my middle name. ErikCRussell.com or that.com and Erik C. Russell at any other handle you want.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, same to you. Looking forward to seeing where you guys end up when it's all said and done. So thanks for having me again, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Erik. Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.